Good morning, everyone.
Hi. Morning, Peter.
Morning.
Hey Pete, how are you?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Hey, I've got an apology. Got to jump off at around 10:30.
That's okay.
Do a
That's okay. We'll have the recording out to everyone, so you can get the last bit of it.
cool. Thanks, mate.
Welcome. Couple more just arriving, everyone. So we'll just give them 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll kick it off. Really excited about this one.
Morning, Jenny.
Hey, Clyde. Just another 1 or 2 minutes, and we will be underway, everyone.
I need to charge. Okay. We have munchkins.
Okay, we might get underway. If I could ask everyone just to turn off their microphones, please, and we'll definitely be having a Q&A when we conclude, I guess, the formal part of the content. Good morning and welcome. Well, maybe evening for some of you overseas or wherever you are, but thanks very much for giving up some time today to have a listen to Michelle O'Hara from O Marketing and myself talk to you a little bit about best practice, I guess, and the importance of best practice as it relates to sales and marketing, and what are some of the tips and tricks, I guess, for you individually or for your businesses moving forward in 2022-23. As usual, if you've got any questions that you'd like, we have Shusmita on standby with us as well, what a part of our team, and she will be monitoring the chat. And if you've got any questions that you want immediately answered, we'll definitely do our best to accommodate that. But failing that, if you want to make a note or write it down, we'll definitely be having a Q&A towards the end. I've got quite a big audience here today, so thank you again for that. Couple of people that are not familiar with myself or with Michelle. I'm just making sure everyone's in. I think they are. So before we actually introduce ourselves, I thought I just might give you a heads up about some of the key lanes that we'll be sort of bowling in today. The first one is talking about the right alignment. We'll be speaking definitely about where does sales and marketing in 2022 kind of fit around all that. Fantastic leads, actually where to find them, because it's a very noisy world out there at the moment. I'm going to talk to you about how do we actually, what's called pipeline velocity, how do we shorten the buying cycle and deliver higher win rates? And then, as I mentioned a moment ago, we will be wrapping it up with the Q&A. This webinar is being recorded, and the copy of that will be out to all of you over the short term. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Peter McEwen, and I'm the founder and CEO of Salesmasters International. We've been around quite a while, a number of decades, and so I said to someone the other day, I think as a business we've done plenty of things wrong, but we've must have done a couple of things right to still be here. So very proud of Salesmasters and its clients and what we've done collectively together. With me today, I guess a little bit just about as a business, what we do is we really help people sell more stuff. So what does that mean? We work with businesses both from a senior management level, sales management level, and an individual level to really help people become more effective in their sales endeavors. Depending on the business, depending on the sector, There's lots of different ways that we go about that, but it's really getting down to the nuts and bolts of not just sales strategy as the higher overview, but the real, what happens after hello? When we get a lead, what do we do with it? How do we maximize our win rates? The stuff that many of you on this call would be very interested in. With me today is Michelle O'Hara, who I'll get her in just a moment to share with you a little bit about herself and her business. But Michelle heads up a company called O Marketing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why Michelle and I are here. As a businessman, I'm just going to call it for what it is, and those of you that know me will understand this. I'm pretty direct. I have, over the decades, engaged with numerous marketing entities, and I have spent, as a business owner, an inordinate amount of money on marketing that was either inappropriate or didn't work. And so I've been very gun shy as it relates to marketing. And as you evolve and you get a bit older, you get a bit wiser, you keep your radar up. And I met Michelle some time ago, and I was very impressed about the reality that she brings to her craft. And that's very much the sales master's DNA. Spent some time getting to know Michelle. We tossed around a couple of ideas, and then in January this year, I and Michelle agreed to work together for a period of 6 months to really have a look under the bonnet of both businesses to see were we aligned, both from a value alignment perspective and a cultural perspective. She got to know my team, I've got to know her team, and I can say without doubt, and Michelle, I'm sorry to embarrass you with this, but it is without doubt the greatest alignment Sales Masters has ever had. So whoever your marketing entity is, you need to ensure that they have your DNA in it. They understand who you are. They really get it. And that makes those leads that much richer. So we'll let Michelle talk more about that, but that's why I'm really delighted. I'm very gun shy to put my brand up against any other marketing company, but on this occasion, I'm really delighted. So Michelle, over to you.
Thank you so much, Peter. You do embarrass me. And look, the feeling is mutual. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on today and taking time out of your very busy lives, no doubt, as business owners. A little bit about us. Look, I have been running business for 15 years, O Marketing with a team of 7 now for 8 years. I just really want to share the fact that, when I first started out in business, it was old school thinking. I come from a background of organizational strategy and marketing, and we used a lot of the traditional methods when I first started. And then, of course, the beautiful world of digital and social media came in. I fought it tooth and nail, I'm happy to share with you. But once I started realizing that with one simple click, I could get my message out to thousands of potential clients. Suddenly, I realized how much I could get back my time, my energy, and could grow the business so much faster. So, the bits and pieces that we're going to share today are really taking all of those lessons along the way and, and then aligning them with Peter's amazing sales strategies to show you what can possibly be done out there in the market. So for us, look, you all know that marketing is forever changing. It's a very dynamic space and we love it. The team love it. We are very much students of learning, of growth, of business, of people. And for us, marketing is and always will be about building relationships, which is why Peter's team and our team do align so well, because we understand that marketing and sales and business is all about relationships. As Peter alluded to before, the number one sentence that we do hear on an ongoing basis is that I've been burnt by marketing before, and the reason why I believe that this happens is what I call the silo effect. So since digital came in, people didn't really understand the world of digital marketing. So when someone said, I can make you millions through a Facebook ad or through SEO or Google ads, we believed them, right? I got burnt myself in the beginning. However, what we've realized over time, and the reason why now we can return our clients 3 to 8 times return on investment, is because we look at the whole picture. We are aligning the business strategy, where are you now, where do you want to go, and in what time frame. We're aligning the marketing strategy, which includes, who do we need to talk to, where do we need to talk to them, what are the outcomes, not features and benefits, that they're looking for, how often do we need to talk to them. And then we're aligning the sales strategy, which I will pass over to Peter now to discuss, what's involved in that content.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. And I guess just to be clear from the get-go, I think it's important, certainly, if I just give you my personal kind of view of the difference between sales and marketing. I guess in the simplest of terms, marketing, in my view, is really building awareness of your business and your brand to potential customers. That's it in a nutshell for me. Whereas conversely, I think that sales is turning what I'd call that viewership into a profit by converting those potential customers into actual ones. So one is getting the eyes and the other is getting the doing. So if we make the assumption just for the moment that marketing has developed the right type of lead for you, for me, whatever it may be, these types of opportunities invariably don't close out because salespeople either don't have a solid sales process to follow, or if they do, many salespeople that are actually executing this lead through that process are only moderately competent at executing the process. Now, that's not a criticism, but it could be due to many things. Like some businesses today still have the wrong sales process that's not reflecting 2022 buying trends. They are still doing business the way that they did 10 years ago, and that's fraught with risk. And then often what we do, well, we'll blame marketing because it was a poor lead, but invariably what it was actually the wrong sales process. There could be many, many other things. It could be limited sales training, if any. Some people may be inhibited by behavioral challenges like low confidence or low resilience. All of these things, and there are many, all need to be considered. And I think in terms of marketing, another reason why a good quality marketing lead doesn't close out is because some salespeople primarily focus on the money rather than the client. So let me unpack that. We need to keep in front of mind that when we're engaging with a new lead, that the marketing message that these people came to us from, what they inquired us from, was about their needs and their requirements. And typically when it comes to the sales department, what we focus on is more of a transactional relationship, looking at the dollars rather than the relationship. And of course, I'm not saying that we're not here to make money, because we are, and we should get rewarded. But what I'm saying today in 2022, sales and marketing, sales definitely is a two-way street. And the first step to really realign this is to realign how you view a lead. It's not a commodity or what I'd call, a number on a box or something on a spreadsheet. I think we need to remember that your business, my business, it needs to be give and take. And if we don't have, and in terms of give and take, we need to be the first one to give. That's the message. So yes, easy to blame marketing, but it's also we need to look internally at our own processes. Michelle?
Fantastic. So speaking of leads, interesting. And can I just stress from the beginning that, many agencies now are saying, everything has to be digital. Can I just say that we have a very big mix of both traditional and digital, and it's really important to work out what is best for your business. So I just wanted to stress that. Leads look very different now than they used to. So I've just got a bit of a stat here from Gartner that 60 to 70% of B2B sales interactions occur on digital channels in 2022. So what that means is that 60 to 70% of people are looking digitally. As Peter talked about, they're becoming aware of you, they're learning about you, they're finding out about you, and they're doing all of that research.
Record.
Just ask everyone to keep their microphones off, please.
Can we just get you to mute, please, Muddy?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So they're doing all of that research on you before they're even thinking about buying. Now, the thing is, and we know this for a fact because, we're dealing with clients on a daily basis, the number of touch points, the number of times that you engage with a client before they're ready to even have that conversation with you to sell sits between 7 and 20. Okay, so all these items on your screen there on the left-hand side, those are all opportunities or touch points upon which people can actually interact with you. Let me give you some examples. So, you know, a person might click on your newsletter that you send out once a month. They might click on an article 7 times. That is potentially an opportunity or lead. They might register for a webinar, just like you all have today. They are interested. They send a direct message through LinkedIn or like a post. They're all indications of interest. And I think the major point that we have to realize here when it comes to marketing is that the message is not, I am ready to buy right now. The message is, I'm interested, educate me, show me more, show me why I should pick you. So that's the most important thing we need to take away from this. Unfortunately, we find that businesses are jumping too early and trying to sell too quickly. And as Peter mentioned, that's old school thinking. We have to change that thinking now to a new approach. Would you agree, Peter?
Excuse me, 100%. It's profoundly different. And, you know, I'm just looking at the invite or the attendee list of some of the people in this webinar. And I know that many of you here or on this webinar would remember, you know, a time when sales, you know, the buying process meant, you know, we would routinely reach out to customers. The salespeople mattered. They would meet with us. We develop relationships, and back in the day, I guess things were, you know, they're pretty rosy. They were certainly less complex, but that's all changed. It's profoundly changed. You know, I remember when prospecting and cold calling were the norm. Well, you know, trying to do that today, busy people in a time-poor world, it may not only not work, it may indeed infect your brand rather than positively affect it. You know, we often, because we could have more what we call belly-to-belly time with people, more minutes, we could persuade people. All of that is profoundly changed. Digital is the driver. The internet has provided people, honestly, buyers, if they wanted to do a bit of a deep dive, in my view, about you, me, or any business product, service, or solution, if they wanted to allocate some time and really find information out, it will be out there. There is very, very, very little today, in my view, that a prospective buyer really can't find out about us if they took the time. So what does all that mean for us as salespeople? Well, today we must be relevant. And some of you would have heard me talk about being what's called value-based salespeople, demonstrating genuine customer-centric behaviors. Not words on a corporate boardroom wall. It's a mindset. It has you need to have my recommendation would be that you need to consider having the genuine intent to help people. And if you can start creating that type of an approach with people, where you are, every time that you touch them, you're attempting, certainly ethically, to bring them some sort of value, you can, over a period of time, sometimes quickly develop into being a trusted advisor. And quite frankly, in the absence of that type of a relationship, the only thing that many salespeople have left is really transactional selling. And all of us have been around sales long enough to know transactional selling, the primary driver of that is low price. So yes, Michelle, you know, how we treat every lead will profoundly affect the win rate.
Very good, very good. And you touched on this before, Peter, about the line between where marketing ends and sales starts. And this one always makes us laugh a little bit because we've actually even changed up the way we report now, because people aren't understanding what a lead is, as we alluded to before. But in my mind, and I agree with you, you know, marketing is about, you know, it is about identifying the ideal client. It is about working out, you know, what are the outcomes that people are searching for, which has changed from the olden day transactional thinking of, excuse me, benefits and features. It's not about that anymore. It's about outcomes. From a marketing perspective, it's about the psychographics. You know, what are people's interests, their emotions, their, you know, how do they feel, their interests, their lifestyle, you know. So we've got to change the way that we interact and we build those relationships with people. And then as a result, you know, how the sales team, as you were just saying, Peter, grabs that and then takes it to that next level.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, you know, again, having a clear understanding of marketing today is profoundly important. I mean, we would often, in absence of having some understanding of marketing, we just would qualify a good lead. What's a good lead? Well, that's a NIN. Need it now. Someone they've got the motivation to do business. They're ready to move. They're the decision maker. They've got realistic expectations around price, high probability of doing business. And what sales departments and sales people consistently tend to fall into this trap of they feel, or they have this notion that marketing supplying high quality leads like that on an hourly, daily, or weekly basis, it's just delusional. So as Michelle just outlined, all of these people, these opportunities are at different stages of the buying journal, of the buying journey, and without constant contact with them, you're going to get left behind. These people want to do rates. This is the thinking in my view. A customer really says this: I will do business with you when I'm ready, not when you want me to. I will do so on my terms, not yours. And I'm going to do so in an environment that works for me, not for you. And if we can just think about that, how we buy things and how we want to be treated by the selling organizations, the products and services and solutions that we do business with, that's really how we want it to be. And quite frankly, it's really how it should be. And I think the quicker or the sooner or the more intimacy we can create, commercial intimacy with that sort of understanding about how they think today and the rate of knots that they want to do things with us, I think that really, really is a game changer. And I think just one other thing, I think when we're talking about good and bad leads, it's very, very easy sometimes for salespeople to blame or shift responsibility from themselves to marketing. What I mean by that, and for those of you that have been on previous webinars, you've heard me talk about BAT qualification, BAT, budget and authority and time frame. And the landscape is littered, absolutely littered, with marketing leads and opportunities that never closed out because they are poorly qualified by salespeople. And what we tend to do, rather than being a little reflective and looking internally, what some salespeople will do is they'll shift that blame to marketing. Well, that's just another poor lead from marketing. And so my advice, amongst many other things, is become a master BAT qualifier. Become really, really good in ethically understanding what these people want, when they want it, and what's the timeframes around it. Michelle?
That's wonderful, Peter. Beautifully explained. And of course, in regards to the buying journey, people come into the journey in different points. Like, so, when I did my marketing degree a long time ago, showing my age here, it was a linear line. It was awareness, interest, evaluation, decision, retention, straight line. But of course, that's all different now, because people come in, because of the digital world, they come in at different points. And they might come in from an awareness point of view, but then they might jump to evaluation. They might come back to interest. They might go back to that. They might come back, they're going back and forth. And as Peter just said, it's really important that you have that consistent messaging and that consistent, touch point with them at all times on an ongoing basis in order to create momentum. So quite often we hear, can't you just run me an ad and thousands of people will come? Well, no, we could, but unless you have all of those background pieces in place, then it just doesn't work. I want to take you through just a quick example of one of our clients. And this client won a $94,000 contract off LinkedIn, cold. So let me just take you through what happened. We got a cold marketing list. We put up great content on his LinkedIn page, website, everything was all aligned, everything was ready. We connected with all those clients on LinkedIn with the right decision makers. And I'm sure Peter will talk to that in a moment, because the right decision makers are so important. So those people started clicking on posts, started liking his posts, started following, they were interested. One of them subscribed to a checklist, which was a lead magnet we put out, which was basically just asking them some questions about, do you need this? They jumped on the newsletter and read a couple of articles. We can track and measure everything. We can track the whole buying journey, right? So we're watching this person go through the touch points. They then jumped on a free webinar because we invited them via LinkedIn, just like we've invited you guys today. And then at the end of the webinar, there was an offer of a phone call. Now, they didn't take it up then. We saw them like a few more posts. We saw them share a couple of posts, and then they picked up the phone and the salesperson closed them. Now, in total, that was 13 touch points, okay, before that client was ready to buy. Now, if any stage along that journey, the sales guys had picked up the phone and gone, you know, sell, 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 we would have lost them. So this is where it's really, really important. For us, we start every client with at least a minimum of 6 channels, okay? McKinsey is actually showing that in 2016, organizations were using 5 marketing channels, right? In 2021, they're using an average of 10. We start with 6 and then we grow from there. And how we can move our clients through these buying cycles faster is by literally putting them on all the right channels, talking to the right people in the right language with the right outcomes that they're looking for in order to push them through faster to then obviously get to our salespeople to increase their win rates, which I will let you continue on with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Michelle. Hello, you got me?
Yep.
No, I've just got echo here.
You're fine on this end?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, my apologies, everyone. Yeah, you were just talking about the process and all the different touch points. Absolutely spot on. You know, I really, in my view, I think understanding marketing and understanding the customer journey, intimately understanding it, is the new game in town. And when you can align your sales execution around all of those different touch points, you know, when to be talking about qualification, when to be talking about timeframes, when is the right time to really unpack the decision-making process, when you can actually intimately connect with that and rearrange your sales process to align with that, wonderful things are going to happen. You know, just before we, I guess, move to a Q&A, I just want to get you to reflect on something. Many of you on this webinar, I know, would have clients today that deeply, deeply trust you. And you and I both know there are many things that define that trust, but a couple would be someone who may consistently reach out to you for advice. They tend to be inclined to, I guess, accept your recommendations. You know, that you really feel listened to and understood. They treat you as you want to be treated. And I just want you to remember that every single one of those people or businesses, I guess they started as an initial lead from a marketing department or a marketing entity, and somehow it made its way into your sales department and to you. And from when that started, you were initially strangers, I guess, but due to your expertise and your efforts, you know, you're now a trusted advisor and you're highly valued, you know, and no doubt enjoying good, solid commercial returns, as you should. But it might be worth reflecting on how it all came about. Because in my view, in 2022, when that now trusted advisor, excellent client, you listen to, it's commercially viable, they reach out for advice, all of those things I just mentioned, it started as a blind lead. And whatever you did with that to create that trust and credibility and transparency in that relationship today, I really would ask you to stop and reflect, how on earth did it get to that? What did I do so well? Because there were things that you did in that particular journey, that customer relationship, that customer journey, that if you can understand and connect and even diarize or put onto some sort of a flow chart to go, how do I replicate that with more people? That's how you're really going to increase your win rates. So to wrap it up before we move to a Q&A, I think in 2022, sales and marketing, in my view, should feel mutually understood. And I really believe, in essence, it should be joined at the hip. So I hope that brought you a little bit of insight. I'd like to open it up to Q&A. So over to everyone else on the call. Open up your microphones and we'll do our best to answer them. As I say, Michelle, I hope this is an English-speaking audience. hope we're on the right webinar. Come on.
Come on, you're all experts.
Can I ask a question, Peter and Michelle?
Hi, Alison. Yeah, sure.
Hi. Thank you so much. It was really informative. I just wanted to recap on just from my understanding. I think Michelle, you mentioned there was in 2021 there was an average of 6 to 10 buying cycles. Is that or up to 10 buying cycles? And then
6 to 10. Do you mean the touch points or do you mean the channels to engage?
Maybe it's a touch point. I'm not sure, but we were referencing something about 10 and I wasn't sure. I just wanted to recap and make sure I understood because I noticed your buying cycle.
That's the channels, Alison. So that's the number of channels that you're putting out and engaging your clients on. So they might be, they might be traditional, they might be digital. So you've got whether it's social media or whether it's a flyer you're sending or, all of those different channels. So on average now it's 10.
Got you. Thank you so much for that. And then there's roughly the 5 cycles below that on that image below that takes you through to that sale from those touch points.
The buying cycle. So the buying cycle is basically to explain. So generally, if someone has a need, they'll come in under awareness, right? So they identify that they might not even know yet that they have a problem. So what you want to first do is give away all your great stuff and help them to identify that they have a problem that you might be able to help. So that's the awareness stage. But from there, through all those channels, they might do an evaluation, which might be a checklist or read a case study or a white paper, and then they'll go, okay, now I'm interested. They'll go back to interest, they go back to evaluation, they go back to awareness, they'll go all between that whole buying cycle until they come to, I'm now interested in a decision, and then that's where your sales, it's time to pick up the phone or touch base with them in some way.
Got you. And then my next question, I'm sorry to hold because I promise I won't do for much longer, but I just wondered with the respect, so where My Berries, we produce Aussie growing frozen fruits, kombucha. We're typically a B2B sales, yet we want to increase that B2C awareness, brand awareness. And so how does that sort of, the two interweave with respect to marketing and the overall sales plan?
Great question. Look, Alice, I think the most important thing here is that always remember that marketing is all about creating relationships, whatever the platform is you're going to utilize. What we find, and the reason why people get confused, is you have to pick the right platform to talk to your market. So for example, for your product, I know your product is delicious and lovely. Facebook and Instagram is where, your customers, your day-to-day customers are sitting, whereas potentially LinkedIn is where your business people are sitting. Now, you can't message the same way to your corporates that you want to talk to your business, your mums and dads, right? So the messaging that you give for your different channels is really, really important. And also just getting super clear on which channel is for what, because if you scattergun, as we call it, and you sort of everything to everyone, all you do is confuse the market and then nobody comes. So it's really important, so pick the channels that you want to talk to those specific customers and then just be really clear and talk to them in the language that they're going to understand on those channels. But definitely Facebook and Instagram for you, for your berries, and then business for LinkedIn.
Ali, it might be worthwhile you and Michelle having a 10 or 15-minute chat offline as well, just to you might be able to give you a bit more help in that area as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can I jump in and ask both Peter and Michelle a question?
Go, mate.
Look, branding and marketing well targeted to me really helps position leads in general, if I can generalize that.
Mm-hmm.
But the outcomes and the alignment for me goes back to the data from that, and the connection from that is absolutely critical to get that target in the first place. So I just want to ask the question on how are you looking at the data from those things now to align with your sales team? Because that communication to both parties is the best way to work on your budgets and work on the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
Great question. Michelle, I'll let you lead that.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Tristan. I love numbers. I love the stories, everything. The data tells us all the information, right? So for us, on a monthly basis, we are actually tracking everything. So we're tracking the website users, we're tracking the open rates, we're seeing how many people are clicking, you know, what they're clicking on, if we're using a lead magnet, you know, is it working? If we're running a webinar, how many people are coming? Where are they coming? What are the states? Everything. And it all goes back to that, what I said about the business strategy. You know, when you're super clear on where you're going, what you want to do and how you want to get there, you've got numbers. And unless you have that, those numbers and that alignment. And then on the other end, the thing is, you know, and Peter, you can talk to this, from a sales perspective, we need to know what their conversion rates are. And so that we need to know how many to put through the top of the funnel, right? And how many to pull in. So all of that data and all of those numbers were very much across, because we need to know whether we need to up it. And look, to be honest with you, Tristan, our problem is generally too many customers are coming through. So we also need to know when to slow it down. So, but Peter, I'll let you talk to that.
Yeah,
you know,
I guess all I would add to that would be that and I know your business well, Tristan, with the data you've got, it's understanding those different personas as well, and how do you sell to them? It's not just one shoe fits all. To have the opportunity is one, but you've got a number of different lanes that you potentially bowl in. Would you agree with that? And then, yeah, exactly. So therefore, the language framework you would use, the approach you would use, would be different for a second home buyer is in their 30s to 40s, as an example, to someone who's looking at a more of a retiree type build or whatever it may be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the cycle is different in terms of that product, which Michelle was reflecting before, which is king. We're 6 to 10 channels, and most importantly with that, we have to communicate completely differently on every one of those channels.
Correct.
It's a different language, effectively.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was my point. Exactly. But also, your sales process needs to be mimicking and reflective of the communication that you are utilizing in each of those channels. Yeah. So it's far more complex today, as I said in the webinar, than what it was even 5 or 10 years ago. Yeah, good question. Anyone else got one? Okay, well, if that's the case, I'll flick it back to Michelle to finalize this, but I'd like to say thank you very much for giving up your time. It's valuable. We'll have a recording out to you over the short term. And as usual, if there's anything that we can do, reach out to us. There's some details there. We're always here to help. Over to you, Michelle, to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Peter, for having me on today, and everybody for coming. Yes, please, at any time, reach out. We're always here to have a conversation. Happy to review what you've got, let you know, some tips and tricks or insights into how you can do it better. But otherwise, please, at any time, connect with us on LinkedIn and follow us. And thanks so much for taking the time out today. Thank you, Peter.
Okay, welcome. Bye now.
All right, take care.